Good morning. Seems like there's a lot of folks that are trying to innovate, do new things, make things better in many different areas. This is great. I love it when people do things like that. Offers me new strategies, maybe even new techniques to have a productive and pleasing life. I guess you could say that for me, hedonism is a way of life. And these days, hedonism has gone in sparing amounts because of health concerns. I have several health concerns, many of which were a result of my errors in judgment in driving cars. I was in many car wrecks, way too many car wrecks. And while I didn't feel the actual harm that was done in these car wrecks until years later, it has taken a toll on me. I have arthritis, chronic arthritis, and the pain associated with it throughout my entire spine. And it can get a little discouraging, a little depressing at times. However, when I wake up each morning, and I do get up early in the morning, about 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning I get up, and I have a daily routine which I follow, which consists of drinking water, having a vegan protein drink, which is infused with high nitric content reds, greens, and a special prebiotic mix. And I take that every morning, and that keeps my gastrointestinal tract working very efficiently and keeps it very clean. I don't feel quite a bit of toxicity physically. I have had a bout with gout, no rhyme intended, and this has been a real eye-opener. It's caused me to alter my eating and drinking habits. I am not drinking alcohol. I'm not doing anything that would exacerbate my gout. And I've seen the gout dwindle, seen it dissipate, although I still have to be very careful. It seems that meat is the major protagonist in my gout. Outside of that, I'm getting around better. I'm exercising 5 days a week, walking, doing around 6,000 steps, and I've been engineering and managing emotions efficiently. Seem to have a lot of ketosis going on, so I have to dampen the short fuse that I have because of the ketosis consistently. I know there's a way to manipulate that, and I will be doing that soon when I calm down in that area so that I can efficiently work it. I've been a practitioner of eclectic magics for a long time. Chaos magic is the meta paradigm that I have chosen to practice those magics in. I've been a member of an organization, traded and offered techniques many different times. I see a lot of people doing a lot of what I think are very innovative and very creative magical paths, and I appreciate those, and I also give kudos anonymously to all those who are doing these type of things. There's also quite a few Wiccans still around, not so much it seems in my hometown here. However, what I like is the old has been infused with the new, as I evidenced at the Pagan Pride Day, which happened this last November. I saw a lot of newer, younger people, and of course a lot of the older people who were mainly vendors and some lookers. I thought that was an excellent turn of events, and maybe the community is revitalizing itself. We had a long history in this community, and what I have of that long history is a probably a jaded, biased view. So I'll refrain from making any comments about that. I'll do a whole podcast on my take on the history of that community since I entered it back in the early 90s. I made a lot of friends in that community. I had a lot of fun in that community. I was a member of a Wiccan temple foundation for a number of years and enjoyed that experience and the people that I encountered there. And I was also a member of several other offshoots of the Chaos Magic Organization, of which has to remain anonymous for many different reasons, which is okay because it's not about who, it's about what was done. And what I can tell you is that my life and the direction of my life went from me being in poverty to being upper middle class in income. From me renting rooms from people to buying my own home. From me having old broken down cars to being able to buy new ones and having extra cars. A lot of changes in life. I was a member of Narcotics Anonymous for 25 years, after which 23 years I left the meetings in the organization because it's based on what I think are falsehoods, glaring falsehoods. There's a lot of slogans that are taken seriously, and those are just basically lies. So in wanting to live in much integrity as I have the awareness to affect, I got away from all that. And the people, there was a lot of great people I love who are still friends of mine. And then there was more people, many more people that had to be avoided because they were still living in a lot of emotional, probably trauma-induced toxicities, and had a lot of self-destructive behaviors, which it's kind of like people setting off bombs. Might be okay to watch the bomb from a distance as long as there's not a lot of toxicity released into the atmosphere because of it. However, there's no need to watch this. After watching what they used to call there the passing parade, I noticed that the toxicity was a serious problem. So in doing that, there was a lot of fanatics. It was basically a pseudo-religious organization that I couldn't wait to get away from. And I had adopted a belief which said if I got away from it, I was going to turn into a worse drug addict than I was before I got clean. And of course, that has not been the case. Of course, I have found that I've been able to moderate my usages and to stop whenever I want and stay stopped. So that whole thing was an erroneous exercise. It was a good place to bide my time. However, I found that I probably did that out of fear mostly, and now that's gone by the wayside. However, in doing that and having a clear mind, I was able to do even better. In getting involved in the magical pursuits, the magic itself and what I did on an enchantment, divination, illumination basis has enabled me to have a much better life and a much healthier life. I had hepatitis C. That was cured. I had help from my friends magically with that, and also using the pharmaceutical approach of the day, which was interferon ribavirin combination therapy. And after many years, I'm still clear. I basically have been cured. This has been a very good, a very, very, very good term of life for me. I started on this when I was about 40, and now I'm 65. So I have 25 years of progress in that area. Went through a lot of ups and downs for about the first 7 or 8 years, and now for the last 15 years or so, 15, 20 years, it's been great. Things have gotten better and better. I've always had tumultuous relationships, sexual relationships, romantic relationships. And I've had a lot of success in that area, and I fault the mistakes and failures with mostly being of my own doing and the choices that I made, either with the women I was associated with, them being not, the right profile of woman, the right woman for me, and me not being the right man for them. So I learned over the years to discard that process. So nowadays I don't worry about that. One of the main things that happened to me that opened my eyes completely was I realized that what I had for many years was a high level of sexual anxiety. And that was caused because I had this idea that if I got enough sex, that everything would be okay. Well, as I learned when I did get a lot of sex, that it was problem-free. In other words, there was no anxiety associated with it, either created by me or by the partner I was associated with, that it was great, and it did make a lot of things better. And a lot of the right neurochemicals circulating in me and causing me a lot of pleasure and a lot of satisfaction in my life. At one point, though, my testosterone levels dipped tremendously, and I found myself with no libido. And that was a very interesting part of my life, because with no libido, I began to see the folly in me pursuing the wrong people for me in relationships, the wrong women for me in relationships. And I began to see who the right women were and what were the right parts of the women I was associated with were. And that was very important, and it was a big eye-opener. And it also showed me that while sexuality and the expression of it is a very important part of my life, that it wasn't the defining characteristic of my life, which I actually learned that it was the defining motivation in my life. And I went through some trials and tribulations because of women I chose to associate with. Those have all been fixed, so to speak, and now these are all good relations. In fact, I'm friends with almost every woman that I've ever been in a long-term or even a short-term relationship with. So that's a nice thing. It's not necessary, but it's nice to be able to own my own shit. And in owning my side of the road or my side of the fence, I've learned that this gives me a lot of freedom, that no one is to blame, that no one is bad or wrong, that it's all about choices, and it's all about knowing enough about the choice I'm going to make to be able to get some mileage out of it. And I got a lot of mileage out of it. I had one relationship that lasted off and on for over 20 years, and I still love that woman, and she still loves me even though we've moved on. And it's really an excellent experience. Thank you, Elaine Maria, to have had her in my corner all those years and have her support and her love physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and everything. And, my mother told me something when I was a child that I really, it is part of my belief system, nothing lasts forever. And if I enjoy the moments of what I have in that moment, or at least as that moment has quickly passed, it has a long-lasting satisfaction. And it gives me a lot of great space inside myself. So at this point, I'm getting ready to close this out. I'm glad all this came out today. I'll pick up on some other subjects later relating to my life and the way I live my life. And I sincerely push my very best to all of you who have been my friends, who've loved and supported you, and those who are interested, or maybe even not so interested in what I'm doing now. I appreciate you, and I send you the very best that life has to offer. Thank you, and have yourself a great day.